Welcome back, everybody. Today's bagel day, and the reason this took so long is it took me a while to work out the kinks with bagels. They proved to be a lot more difficult than I thought. It took me 4 tries to find a recipe that worked, and then I still had to alter it a little bit to my liking to make it work. Okay, here's the deal. I promised everyone I would never put up a video here unless I worked out a lot of the kinks and that I made it doable for just about anybody at any skill level. So I did work out the kinks. It was really frustrating and I almost gave up several times. But anyway, that being said, here's some of the things to avoid. You want to make, or to do. You want to make sure you have the right flour. A high gluten flour is really important to get that chew. That's number one. Number two, you don't want to overproof your dough, over-rise it. You should be able to get bagels done within a couple of hours. You don't have to do extensive rising of it. That's not really necessary, in my opinion. The other thing is add malt syrup or add honey. I used honey instead of sugar in the dough. I also used honey in the boiling because that gives it that nice outside to it. When you're lowering and handling the dough into the water, you want to be very, very gentle and use a very delicate way of lowering them into that boiling water. Also, you don't need to boil it longer than 30 seconds on each side because it will deflate and you'll end up with hockey pucks, which is what I found out. The other thing I found out is I over-rose stuff, which I thought was good, but that's not good because when you put it in the water, the gases release and the bagels deflate. And again, you get like hockey pucks. So anyway, I finally came up with a great recipe. I hope you all really enjoy it. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, any other hinters I can give you. I think that about covers the major things I ran into. Oh, I added a little extra salt, but you want to mix the salt in with the flour. When you're doing the dough part, mix the salt in with the flour first, and then put the yeast on top, and just leave it there. And then put your sponge on top of that before mixing. Because if the salt touches the raw yeast, it can deactivate the yeast. That's another thing my friend told me, which I didn't know. So anyway, hope you really enjoy this video. Next up will be gluten-free bagels, and I'm in the scientific mode of figuring that out. And when I get that all worked out, I will have that video up. Thanks so much for tuning in again. And thanks for your patience. Take care. Bye. Dough ingredients first, mix the flour and salt together well, followed by the yeast, and then follow with the sponge. Break up dough into individual pieces about 135 grams each. Next, roll into balls, pulling in edges. Place on oiled surface, covered, and rest for 20 minutes. Shape into bagel shapes, 2-inch holes in the middle. Work your way around in a circle. Place on cookie sheet, let them rise another 20 minutes covered. Next, ready to boil, 30 seconds each side. Drag through some cornmeal and then place on a cookie sheet. Bake at 450 until they look like this. Total yum. Good. How is it? Thumbs up?